Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. I met my boyfriend Jayden in high school, and alongside Jayden, I also got the opportunity to befriend his best friend, Alina. Alina, Jayden, and I were in the same grade in high school, and so as a result, when we got into the same undergraduate school and took the same business course, we got the opportunity to build a close, tight knit bond. I mean, now that I think about it, that was a big curse. But back then, for me, it was the biggest blessing I could have had. I mean, who wouldn't love being friends with your boyfriend's girl best friend that most women tend to hate? That was what I was made to believe from the get-go when Alina and I became friends, and well, the young, dumb, and naive me started believing the same, most likely even going as far as to ignore all the red flags laying in front of me. But let's fast forward to the present because there's not much I can do about the past. Currently, as early as a couple of months back, Alina was in a long-term relationship with her boyfriend, whom she met in undergraduate school, named Keith. Keith wasn't in the same batch as us or even in the same course. He was a year ahead of us and studying engineering, so I was never really close to him. I mean, at least not as close as I was to Alina and Jayden. So after about 5 years of seemingly healthy relationship between the two of them, when Alina came crying to me 2 months back about how she and Keith had broken up due to reasons too sensitive for her to discuss, Jayden and I, especially, let her into our lives with open arms and immediately cut off Keith. It took no time for Alina to get adjusted to our house. Not trying to brag or anything, but it was like I gave Alina a new life, a breath of new air. I introduced her to some of my friends and tried to get her out of the shell she was pretending to be in due to her breakup. I don't know what had taken over me during that time. Maybe it was the love I had for her as a friend, maybe it was the empathy I had for her, or maybe all of this was just meant to happen to me. But yeah, I let Alina into too many parts of my life, even going as far as letting her and Jayden spend time together to rekindle their friendship. Now, let me tell you guys the event that led up to my becoming homeless. It all started a week back when I came home from work. I was immediately astounded to see all my belongings outside the house. I was stunned because I thought something really bad had happened inside our apartment. I began calling Jayden, but his phone went to direct voicemail. I called Alina, whose phone rang, but she wouldn't answer. I spent the next 30 minutes in sheer panic because of not getting any answers to my questions. The most shocking part of it all was the fact that the locks in the house were changed as well. It all felt surreal. But then I got a slap on the face that woke me up to the horrendous reality. It was the moment Alina walked out of our apartment with the smuggest look on her face. I could immediately tell she was up to no good. And she was not. This woman dared to look at me straight into my eyes and tell me that she was hoping I would leave by now. I didn't even respond to anything. I simply began asking her questions. That's when she threw the bombshell on me. She informed me that she was legally evicting me from the house because she and Jayden had gotten married. And oh boy, I was left with my jaw on the floor. I didn't even get an opportunity to think this was some sort of sick joke because of the seriousness on Alina's face. I was numb. I asked Alina if I could talk to Jayden just once, and she answered saying no. She said she didn't want me to gaslight Jayden with my sob story, and so she was just protecting him. I didn't know what to say to that. I knew I couldn't stay there standing because WTF was I even going to do? Argue with her? I just took my most important belongings from there and left, and well, that was about it. Ever since this situation took place, I've just kind of crawled into a shell, unwilling to accept the reality of it all. I've been living with my brother for the time being, who doesn't know anything about this situation either. It's been a week, and this subreddit is truly the first place that I have opened up about this situation. I'm not sure what I'm looking for here, but at this point, I'm in desperate need of any advice, opinion, and other things you guys have to say. I'm here with open ears and an open mind. Please help Reddit. Yeah, guys, I finally did it. I sat my brother down and broke down about the entire situation. He was dumbfounded and enraged at the audacity that Jayden had in himself. My elder brother, Josh, who I am living with, has known Jayden and Alina for as long as I have. Maybe not as much as I did, but he did think of them as good people, as I thought they were. So what? My brother, working in the paralegal field, made a few calls. I won't be sharing a lot of details from that since I'm restricted from doing so, but to put it shortly, there are absolutely no legal grounds for Alina to stand on, even though the house belongs to Jayden and they may be married, which, from what a lot of my girlfriends who I have reached out to say no to as well. A lot of you guys also suggested that I contact Keith, just to get a full picture of the situation and to let him know what Alina has been up to as well. Keith and I have decided to meet up soon because we both agreed on the fact that it would be better to talk face to face rather than through calls. So, yup, that's all I have for you guys, at least for the time being. I know as the lawyers do their thing and as Keith and I talk more, there's a lot more that's going to come out. I wouldn't say I'm 100% positive about everything currently, but I'm getting there, and I'm sure you guys will be the first to witness it. Hi, y'all. I met up with Keith today, and boy, do I wish we had the conversation that we did today a while back. We sat down at a cafe, and Keith started off the conversation as to why they broke up to begin with. And guess what? Most of you guys were right. It was all because of the closeness between Jayden and Alina. As I was drowning myself in work, it was only Keith who noticed that, and well, since we weren't all that close back then, he couldn't get himself to confront me about his observation. What makes this all even worse is the fact that Alina has gone as far as to tell Keith that the only reason why she was moving in Jayden's place was that we had broken up and she had that place all to herself. Disgust would be an understatement here. Keith and I were horrified, saddened, and just overall disappointed with everything that happened. There was a sense of sadness between us, especially about the fact that neither of us tried to reach out to each other, even though we knew each other for so long. After having this conversation, though, we ended things on good terms between us, not holding any grudges and deciding to become friends. Here's my final update. After having a long back and forth between the lawyers, Jayden and me, I was able to retrieve all my things from the house properly. The lawyers were able to threaten and scare Jayden pretty well with their well-worded letters, and well, I guess, Jayden and Alina's relationship could not handle this stress, and they ended up going their separate ways. After the breakup, Jayden reached out to me a couple of times to talk, where he revealed to me how they were never really married, and that he was basically forced into a relationship with Alina after having a drunken one-night stand with her. He's apologized to me multiple times ever since, begging me to come back to live with him, and I've refused every single time. This would come off as a surprise to many, including me, but I have moved into the apartment that was leased in Jayden's name. He was not able to afford the rent all on his own. He's moved into a smaller apartment, while Alina lives with her mom, both being pretty much shunned away from our mutual friends who found out about this situation from me and Keith. It's been a hectic couple of months, y'all, and I wouldn't sugarcoat things for anyone in a similar situation as me so that things get okay. They won't unless you give it time at least. For me, the time hasn't come yet, but I'm sure hoping it does soon. Thanks, guys. Get yourself some lawyers ASAP. You probably have some tenant rights if you've been living in the house for a long time. Alina being married to Jayden does not mean jack shit, OP. Don't let yourself get demotivated by a small person like Alina. You have it all in your hands. All you need to do is make a move. What kind of high school drama BS is this? OP, you need to improve your communication and also get better people around you. Throughout the post, I saw you talking to absolutely everyone about what's been going on except for Jayden, until you posted the update. I know you're still learning and everything, but please consider this change as well. Why didn't Keith reach out to you earlier? Why didn't Jayden just leave Alina once she began threatening him? Bruh, everyone in this post is such a character. You all need to improve communication amongst yourselves. Otherwise, be ready to keep coming across more and more Alinas. BG. I was an affair baby, though it's complicated. My mom was not married. She was actually divorced from my sister's bio dad, but they were back together and had my sister. Mom treated him like crap. He left her, and then I was born a few months later. When I was 6 months old, my mom got arrested. The man I have known as my dad my whole life, sister's bio dad, did not want us to grow up apart, so he took me in. My bio is a POS. He had a son after me and was trying to use him to get to me. Dad tried to help us have contact, but bio showed to be not a good parent, and so Dad reported him to CPS. Dad ended up adopting him too, so the three of us were raised together. My sister, the only bio of Dad's, but us, not caring because he treated all three of us the same. I am used to comments about me not being Dad's real daughter, or how he only adopted my brother because he wanted a son. If he had to raise two girls where we grew up, people were nosy, gossiped a lot, and were unafraid of being mean. But I have always loved that the people closest to me never saw us as less of a true family and never said those hurtful things. I'm married, and my husband is one of those people who was never awful about it. But his family were confused the first time they met us, and we were clearly not a bio family. They expected me to have my husband's dad walk me down the aisle at my wedding, have said how sad it is I never knew my dad, and many other comments about not having a real parent. My husband and I took a break from them because they would not listen to him and stop saying those things. They apologized, and we had just started being around them again when they said our future children would at least have 2 grandparents. My husband said our kids would have 3. They brushed him off, so we were done again. But I was so mad that I really leaned in on what they were saying. I pointed out how terrible it is to have a dad who loves his kids regardless of blood, and instead 2 criminal parents would have been better, parents who would not be good to their kids. And I went into details about just how bad things would have been with bio and how messed up my mom is. I wanted them to feel bad for ever implying the man who saved my brother and I and who raised us was less than our parent. And it worked. They were mad, though, and said on top of depressing everyone, I was an a-hole for trying to make them feel like crap. My husband thought it was amazing because it really stopped them in their tracks. But now I feel like I might have gone too far, especially with the anger his family showed. AITA? Your real dad, the man who loved and raised you, sounds like an amazing person. He more than makes up for you and your husband's crappy birth parents. NTA for explaining the reality of the situation to your in-laws. Sorry if they don't like having feelings, I guess. NTA, how wonderful that you had a dad to love you and take care of you and your siblings when your bio parents were not able to. This is a very lucky situation that doesn't happen often, and you should be able to celebrate it with your family and loved ones instead of being made to feel bad or having to defend yourself or your dad. Your husband's parents don't seem like great people, so maybe you can cut ties. And if you and your husband are okay, then he and your future kids can keep a very basic relationship with them. If your husband's parents can be civil, please remember this. You don't have to suffer just because you married their son. NTA. Everyone keeps saying how amazing your husband is and how lucky you are, but I hope both of you recognize the reverse is also true. To come from a situation like yours with the strength that you've displayed just in this short post shows a lot of grit and personal fortitude. I imagine that standing up to your in laws isn't the only way those personal qualities come through in your life. Not to mention the loyalty and love you have for your dad bode very well for a long and happy marriage. Congratulations. I wish you all the best. My fiance and I are due to get married in June of next year. Our wedding is not going to be very fancy overall, and we're not doing all the traditions. Being raised by a single mom, I decided to walk with her and my sister, who is my bridesmaid. My fiance decided he wanted to walk with his 3 siblings, who are his best people. The 4 of them are very close, so all got an equal spot. My fiance has a stepmother. She's been married to his dad since he was 10, 11-ish. She married his dad 2 years after his mom's death. She has always felt like the 4 were her kids, but they do not return the sentiment toward her. My fiance has told me before he often felt like she was insensitive to their loss and that he always felt as though she believed she was entitled to be their mom without trying to acknowledge or help honor their actual mom. So my fiance tolerates her existence, but is also not close to his father due to the trouble from his childhood. For the most part, his father does not seem to care that Ford's 6 kids, he has 2 with his current wife, are not close to him and have more of a distant extended family relationship with him. My fiance's stepmother told him she wanted to do a mother and son dance with him at his wedding because she saw from my mom's Facebook that we were doing one together. Mom has posted about needing to practice, etc. My fiance told her she was not his mother, so they would not be doing one. She tried to change his mind, but ultimately failed. So she turned around to tell me I needed to convince him, and when I said no, she pushed it harder. I kindly attempted to explain that it was my fiance's decision and that she should maybe consider it would be hard for him to dance with her instead of his mom. She told me he should be glad he has a mom willing to fight for this. She then told me I should just tell him he's doing it, and as his soon-to-be wife, I have the right to do this. At this point, I was more annoyed than anything. I told her I am not my fiance's boss and will not be telling him what to do at our wedding, and that includes telling him to dance with her. I told her I am not bullying my future husband into something he said no to, and I told her she needed to accept the no. She called me a drama queen and said she never claimed I was his boss, but that he would want to make the day special for me. Then she told me it was a bad way to treat my future mother-in-law. My fiancé said I did well, but his stepmother and dad said I was rude for reaching so much, and I worry I did go too far. But my fiancé sees this as a sign that maybe he will take them off the guest list. AITA? NTA. You have your future husband's back. However, if you both decide to keep them on the guest list, I would let the entertainment know ahead of time that there is no mother-son dance and really drive that point home to them. This way, she can't try to go around you and get the entertainment to announce it. Or if you and your husband want to be petty, you should have a mother-in-law and son dance where he dances with your mom. Communication is key to healthy relationships, and you did everything correctly. NTA. How does him dancing with her make the day special for you? She's way too selfish and self-absorbed. Your SO is happy with how you handled it, which matters way more than what his stepmother thinks about it. And she's not going to be your mother-in-law. She's going to be your stepmother-in-law. The fact that she still doesn't get that just goes to show that she's not too concerned about reality. Does she have a living mother? Maybe y'all ought to ask her how she'd feel if her mom died and some other woman tried stepping in after her death and telling her to call her mom after that. This woman seems to lack a whole lot of empathy. I think your SO has it right, considering removing them from the guest list. They don't understand that this wedding is not about them, but about the two of you and what will make the two of you happy. I think your fiance has just been given proof that the person he intends to spend the rest of his life with is a true partner, friend, and unwavering support. Well done, you, for refusing to countenance such an absurd proposal. The idea that you can order him to do something because it's your right to do so as his wife is simply preposterous. Mind you, it gives you an idea of just how miserable his father's life must be. NTA and enjoy your wedding without, it would appear, your in-laws. Good luck to you both.